beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about Kaleidos makeup, specifically the Futurism palettes. I realize that I'm kind of late to the game on Kaleidos makeup in general, and definitely late to the game as far as reviewing these palettes goes. I know people always say they want to see older products, they're tired of seeing new stuff all the time, but ask any YouTuber. That is not how it goes down. So I'm disguising my review of these palettes as a ranking. I've been testing these palettes out over the past month, trying different combinations, swatching them, doing different looks with them off camera. Definitely have used some of these more than others. I really wanted to find a way to talk about these palettes because they are really good. I don't have any other way to say it. These palettes are amazing. They're priced at $24 a piece. The packaging designs are stunning on all of the palettes. I do have some more specific complaints or just things I would change about the packaging, but the overall designs that they use, it's unique, it's beautiful, it fits the shades that are in the palettes every single time. So these are heavy duty cardboard, and all but one of them are a sort of soft touch matte finish. They are magnetic, but they don't open like a regular palette. They have sort of this like wallet fold style. I like that that's unique. For practical purposes, I don't really like it. I wish it was just the one flap instead of two. This just adds extra bulk, extra packaging that I don't really need. So I appreciate its uniqueness, but I don't particularly really like it. Each palette does have a mirror. I also don't care for this mirror. Usually I like mirrors in palettes, but this kind of mirror, this really long skinny mirror, doesn't really do anything for me. I can't really use it to do my makeup. I guess in a pinch I could if I had to, but I really just want to be able to see more of my face when I'm doing my makeup. I love the styling. I would just prefer it if it was just a regular magnetic flap with no mirror. That's just me, you know. Maybe it's a hot take, I don't know, but that's how I feel about it. The only other packaging complaint I have is that the shades aren't printed inside or on the back. They're just on these little plastic sheets. I just find these to be very annoying, especially when you have multiple palettes. If you wanted to use more than one of these palettes at a time, you could easily get them mixed up and then you wouldn't know the shade names. Probably doesn't matter for most people, but from a reviewing standpoint, that would really mess up a video for sure. I just wish that the shade names were printed inside next to the pans. Okay, so that sounded like a lot of complaints, but that's almost all of the complaints that I have. Each palette has 6 shadows. There's a mix of finishes, a mix of shades. They're all very different, and I find each palette to be really unique, and even the most toned down of these palettes are just a little bit unique, a little bit offbeat, definitely something that inspires me. I love a small curated palette that manages to still be interesting and inspiring. Every single one of these Futurism palettes definitely is that. Another thing that all of these palettes have in common is their formulas are ridiculous. They just kind of came out of nowhere for me. Like I said, I've been testing all 5 of these palettes and the formulas are stunning. The mattes are so beautiful. I'm very surprised that I think the mattes apply better with a brush than they do with a finger. Typically with matte shades, the finger swatches look a lot more impressive, but you're gonna see swatches of all 5 of these palettes, and pay particular attention to the matte swatches, the brush swatches, because they are so smooth and so nice. I can't get over it. Another thing that I can't get over, the shimmers in these palettes. I'm gonna just show you a quick little live swatch because you need to see this. I just grabbed that bright golden orange shade from the Neon palette. Watch this, just watch it. That's just what it looks like. That's just what the metallics look like. Oh, this shade reminds me of macaroni and cheese, and I mean that in a good way. Every single time I use one of these palettes, I am just impressed all over again with the formula. So basically when it comes down to ranking these palettes, it's really just a matter of color preference because across the board, they have the same packaging and the same formula. It's just a matter of color preference. So my ranking's probably gonna be different from yours. And if you really, really like the types of shades that I'm not as drawn to, then I'm not one to say you're wrong because even my least favorite of these palettes is insanely good. Just want to put that out there. Reiterate it one more time. All right, so let's count these babies down from number 5 to number 1. In 5th place, so my least favorite of these palettes is the Futurism 4, the VR Neon palette. This is just simply because I'm not really drawn towards wearing any of these shades on a day-to-day basis. Now, if I really wanted to go there for a neon bright look, then I would have no problem using this palette. When you see the swatches, you'll see that even these matte neon shades, which are particularly difficult to get good formulas, they are still just really smooth, show up really beautifully on the skin. At the end of the day, these just aren't my kind of shades. These aren't the colors that I'm drawn to. And that's the tea on that. This is still a good palette. That's really all it comes down to. I just don't like a lot of neon eyeshadows on me. If you do, still recommend this palette. It's just not my fave. Really, exact same line of reasoning for my number 4 pick. That's the Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise palette. These just aren't my shades. I will say that this blue shimmer in the palette called Tron is absolutely stunning. It makes me want to wear a color like this. It kind of reminds me of my favorite blue Super Shock shadow, Banana Daiquiri from ColourPop, but even more intense. And if this palette didn't have this orange matte shade, I might be more inclined to rank it higher. I do think this orange shade is really interesting. I don't think that this is a bad color scheme. It's just not a color scheme for me. That Tron shade though really made me think twice about putting this in spot number 4. This is also the only one of the palettes that doesn't have the soft touch matte cardboard. This has a more vinyl-y kind of feel to it. Super pretty packaging though. Right in the middle of the pack, this may come as a surprise to you because you guys know I love my warm neutrals. I'm putting Futurism 2 Cyber Bronze right in the middle of the road. 2 years ago, Amanda easily would have ranked this as number 1. It's kind of hitting all the right marks for me. So on paper, this should be my favorite palette. We've got an even split of mattes and metallics, really staple neutral mattes, something that would be an everyday type of wear for me. Rose gold and red metallics, some of my favorite types of lid shades. This kind of silvery color that I would use for an inner corner highlight isn't really my jam, but it's so stunning, and I do think that it adds a little bit of that offbeat Kaleidos flair to this whole color scheme. Of these 5 palettes, Cyber Bronze is definitely the most neutral and the most sort of everyday approachable. I like it. Happy to own it, happy to use it, enjoyed it every time I've worn it. I've gotten a lot of really comfort zone everyday looks for me from this palette, but the next 2, my top 2, are just something so special and so exciting to me that I ended up gravitating towards them way more than I thought I would. So in 2nd place for me is the Futurism 1, the Sci-Fi Green palette. Me loving green eyeshadow is such a weird thing. There's something about these really grungy fall tone type of green gold combos that I really love. I know it's supposed to be sci-fi and edgy, but it actually reminds me of the color scheme of a sunflower. It's more sunflower than alien for me. That's just where I went with it when I was wearing it. I felt like a sunflower, not an alien. Typically, I don't love greens, so this is gonna be surprising. When I was actually using this palette on the eyes, I found that the 2 matte green shades were just coming off a little bit too similar, and I found myself wishing that instead of two matte greens, we had a third shimmer that was a deeper green, like an emerald green or a forest green or something. If that was the case, I may have even switched this up to spot number 1. I did find myself not really using one out of these 6 shadows. Even though this color scheme really pushed me out of my comfort zone in a way that I genuinely enjoyed, it still wasn't my favorite. By now, you have figured out that my number 1 favorite palette from Kaleidos is the Futurism 3 Astro Pink palette. This is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. I love this eye look, clearly, since this is my favorite palette. There are so many reasons why this should not be my favorite of the 5. There is a matte black with glitter, one of my most dreaded shadows of all time. It's cool toned and there's a blue in it. All things that are so not me, and yet I have fully embraced those things about this palette. I do think, again, that these 2 matte shades on the end come off a little bit too similar. I wish that the deeper one was just a little bit darker, but I love these combos, and what I really like about this palette in particular is that I can really easily use these 3 shades on the end here for a super quick go-to, very comfortable type of eye look, you know, more of the grocery store, picking up the kid from school. But when I add these other 3 shades in, which I am wearing all 6 shades on my eyes today, it just is so fun to play with. This blue shade is sort of like a transformative topper when it's mixed with this fuchsia berry matte shade. When these 2 shades are mixed together, the purple and the blue, it is so stunning. It's just really fun to play with this. I've never enjoyed being out of my warm toned, neutral, orange and gold type of comfort zone as much as I have playing with this palette. And that is why Astro Pink is my favorite. Now that you've heard all of my rankings and all of my thoughts about these different palettes, you've seen the swatches, I would love to know your thoughts on the whole Futurism palette line. Which one was your favorite? Have you tried any of these? Are you interested? I always love to hear your thoughts on things too, so please leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Cute. Great. Great. Good content. I mean, who gave you the right to make such beautiful, interesting palettes? So I just wish that the shade names were printed inside next to the palette. Next to the palettes? That's not right. That's really all it comes... Okay, what? What were you saying? No, you don't know? Shocking. And easy. Dang it. Don't act like you're not impressed. Can we just... Can we... I mean... Is that not just stunning? Stunning. Blue eyeshadow. Who is she? She's a new woman. Actually, she's the same woman, just with blue eyeshadow. Okay. That'll be enough of that. All right. Hope you have a great day. Okay, bye.